Hello. So here's part two of us looking into constructing Finnish sentences. So our talk about the verbs went on a bit, but anyway, I think quite a lot of ground was covered, and the reason why I take the approach like this is that I want to help you think of the sentences the way Finnish people think of the sentences. So to just not memorize by rote different ways of grouping letters together in a foreign language. I'd like you to think of the kind of rhyme and reason of how it is that we why we're doing what we're doing. Now it won't all become clear immediately, but as you go over the situation, they should things should fall into place naturally better the more you go on. But anyway, we were talking about verbs. I listed some verbs. You should definitely learn as many as you can by heart. So if I, listed some verbs like lukea, to read, puhua, to speak, nähdä, to see, kuunnella, to listen, kirjoittaa, to write, ajatella, to think, muistaa, to remember. So those are, very useful words which you'll be using a lot. So you have to remember them, and then you have to remember how to have the personalized endings, but because they're always more or less the same. Like with the English language, I think, you think, he thinks, we think, you think, they think. It's just the singular third person, he thinks. Like if there are any irregularities, like with English, it's only with the third person. Minä näen, sinä näet, hän näkee, me näemme, te näette, he näkevät. Now you might think that like if you try to remember things, like it's the third person singular, sometimes the plural, which might seem like the strange one of the bunch, but you just have to learn them. It's just a factor of the Finnish language, like with Italian, French, and Spanish, that you personalize the verb and give it over to the subject, and the Finnish does it as well. So you have to learn them. One of the ways in which one of the reasons why Finnish people, I think, might like it is because if there's a question being asked, for instance, näetkö mitä tuolla tapahtuu? Do you see what is happening out there? You can just say näen. So the verb has a built-in subject so that because the verb is personalized, you know, it gives a certain flexibility to the language, so that you can drop the subjective. You know, if I say that like you should definitely keep the personal pronoun, the subject in the sentence, but sometimes Finnish people, because the subject is already in the verb ending, sometimes you could say, for instance, puhun paljon, koska pitää opettaa monia asioita. You could conceivably, like it sounds a bit not great if you leave it out. What I said was I talk a lot because there's a lot that has to be taught, you know, like to teach, not to think. So anyway, like, you know, it's like sometimes it happens that it gets dropped out, but you know, it sounds a bit too sparse to say puhun paljon rather than minä puhun paljon. But anyway, it's like that's one thing. But you know, I suppose sometimes with languages is that we don't entirely know why it is that some languages have personalized endings to verbs, like Italians. Like it's just that it's just something that has happened to a language, and then it's there, and people just use it. Like you know, Italian has the endings, English doesn't really, and it's just one of those things that you know. It's either there or it isn't, and in the case of Finnish, it's there, and you know, you should study them as a result. So anyway, I gave a sampling of verbs in the last video. Minä puhun, I speak. Sinä ajattelet, you think. Hän näkee, he sees. Me kirjoitamme, we write. Te muistatte, you remember, in plural. He uskovat, they believe. So anyway, like I gave a bunch of verbs, and you should try to remember as many of them as you can. And then if you come into this video with already having some verbs in your vocabulary, and you know how to, because it's not really useful to you to just remember the basic form, ajatella, to think, because you wouldn't speak English with the assumption that it's okay to say I to think the answer. I mean, it's conceivable that somebody who has only been studying English the most limited amount imaginable, that their only way of expressing themselves is with that kind of broken English, I to think the answer. But anyway, like you do realize when you think about this that you haven't really learned the verbs until you've learned their conjugation. So you know, you have to learn the personalized endings. So luckily they're more or less regular in how they're altered with the personalization process. So minä näen, minä puhun, minä kirjoitan, minä ajattelen, minä muistan, minä unohdan, minä uskon, minä istun, minä juoksen, minä hyppään. So juoksen is I run, hyppään is I jump. I can't remember what the other new word I used was, but they're sort of mostly in keeping. And you know, Finnish people, the reason why we try to be regular with it is because we want to recognize we want to recognize, as it were, the category of a word, so that when the endings are regular, we recognize what kind of word it is, and we just like it when the language has that kind of regularity. So that's why it is mostly following the same kind of you know, like the verbs behave in a predictable manner, because we just want to organize communication along those lines. So that's but anyway, if you come to this video having learned some of those verbs, there's more verbs to be learned, but I don't know what I should list. So we'll go with those for now. And anyway, verb is only, like, let's say that verb is only half of the heart of the sentence. So that if we're focusing on the most basic sentences there is, you are describing something happening. So, you know, if you want to say that Finnish is difficult, so, you know, I don't know whether you think it or not. Perhaps for a beginner, there's such a lot to be done. Is that, you know, the less you've learned, the more you have to learn, so that the road is the hardest early on. The more you have learned, the less there is to learn. So perhaps in the beginning phase, that's when it feels the most difficult. But anyway, if for instance you would think that Finnish is difficult for a student, I hope you don't think too difficult. So only difficult enough. If you want to say in Finnish that Finnish is difficult, you know, let's look at what you have to know how to do. So there's the three parts. You know, you have to be able to say Finnish. You have to be able to use the verb to be, and then you have to have the adjective of difficult. So anyway, Finnish as a language is Suomi. The language that Finnish people speak in Finland is suomalaiset puhuvat suomea Suomessa. Finnish people speak Finland in Finland. Sorry. Finnish people speak Finnish in Finland. Sorry. So yeah, the language in Finnish is Suomi, and to speak Finnish is puhua suomea. Now we'll get into postpositions later on, where like we alter the noun to give it its place in the sentence. So it's a bit like in French, if you say that you are drinking wine, like English said that you are drinking wine, but the French would say that they drink of the wine, so that this is that de vin. So that what the French say that you're not drinking the whole amount, you are drinking of the amount of wine that is out there. You know, it's just it's a peculiarity of organizing the thought, so that the way that English people think is that you are drinking wine, but the French people, if you use the term de vin, you'd say that you're drinking of the wine. And you know, the Finnish people, we have those kinds of how you say, like different ways of thinking about organizing the experience, so that when we will start talking about the postpositions and why the endings start changing, you know, you just, we have to ditch the English preferences and have to learn how to, you know, how the French might think that, like when you're speaking French, you have to partly learn how to think like the French, and apparently the French might think that you're drinking of the wine that is, you know, on offer there. And you know, in the Finnish language, we also have some different ways of thinking the expression. That the reason why I'm underlining this is that sometimes there isn't an equivalent way of saying that a Finnish has and an English has. Just like in the English, it would sound a bit strange if you said, I'm drinking of the wine. Because if you're drinking wine, then, you know, clearly, you know, like, if there's wine available, then yeah, clearly, if you are drinking wine, you're drinking of the wine, you know. But the French would sort of, they would sort of kind of lay a slight emphasis on the fact that you are drinking something less than the full amount, so that you are, like, the French would stress that you are drinking a partial amount, and a partial amount adds up to you are drinking of. So you are taking a portion of the totality of the wine available. Now, this sounds like a beginner starts getting migraines at things like this. That, why make it so complicated? It's like, you just want to drink wine. Why does it turn into a math class, you know? Well, it's just, the reason that language is difficult is when you don't know the answers, you know? That's when you are at the most difficult point of speaking a foreign language, when you just don't know the answer. You have a problem that you cannot overcome because you just don't know. And the way to not arrive at that problem is for you to know things. And that's why I'm helping you sort of recognize situations and that one of the ways to avoid problems is that it just has to be accepted that sometimes there aren't equivalent expressions in two languages. Like with last videos, the English have the verb to have, the French have the avoir verb. Those are equivalents. An English wouldn't say, I have 28 years. A French would say, j'ai 28 ans. Those aren't equivalent situations. Like an English person says, I am 28. A French says, essentially, I have 28. I've got 28 years on me. J'ai 28 ans. So, like the French way of saying your age and the English way of saying your age, they aren't perfectly equivalent, but at least the English language and the French language, they have an equivalent for the verb to have, but the Finnish language doesn't. So we're just beginning to learn just how much different languages can differ, and it's just sort of partially caught me by surprise that we actually don't really have an equivalent for the English to have verb. Like we put the pronoun, we put the personal pronoun to do the work that the English put the to have verb do. Sometimes languages don't have equivalent situations, so that when your native language has one way of doing things, you come to like thinking the way, like it's as if the categories of the language give you categories of thought, but when a foreign language doesn't have the equivalent categories, you just have to ditch those old categories of thought and as if either learn every expression by heart or alternatively learn to think the way that people think in those foreign languages. But it's just something that's there ahead for you. But anyway, if I bring it back to the point where I went on to that last tangent, in that Suomessa puhutaan suomea, Finnish is spoken in Finland. The language is in its basic form Suomi, but then when we say that when we put it as the object, Suomessa puhutaan suomea, then you realize that Suomi and suomea, the word gets changed, and it's just something that's gonna take quite a bit of getting used to when you realize how it is that you have to change words with the postpositions in sentences. But the language the language in its basic form is Suomi. So if we bring it back to what we sort of started the video with, is if you want to say Finnish is a difficult language, Finnish as the subject of the sentence, the something being described, the something of the sentence is Finnish, and the description is it's something difficult. So Finnish is difficult. Suomi, if the sorry, I just want to give the difference. So if the subject of the sentence is the language of Finnish, it's in the basic form Suomi. But if if the language of Finnish isn't the subject but it's an object, so that in Finland we speak Finnish, or Finnish is spoken in Finland. Suomessa puhutaan suomea because the language Finnish becomes the object. That's why it gets its strange ending, because we're qualifying it to mean what we want to mean. But anyway, just that difference aside, now that the language of Finnish is the subject, we have the word Suomi, the basic form. So anyway, Suomi. Now, how it is that we say it is? Now, the way that Finnish sentences are constructed is that if you want to, you have your verbs. Let's say that it's the verb to be. If you want to say that Mishka is there, and let's say you're pointing at me, you're saying Mishka on tuolla, so to be, olen, olet, on, olemme, olette, ovat, and tuolla is over there. So anyway, how it is that you construct the verbs is that if you don't use the personal pronoun, if you don't say that he is there, but you say that Mishka is there, what you do with the han-on structure is that you replace the pronoun han with the name of the person, so that you can say Mishka on tuolla, or if you want to say my brother is over there, you say that veljeni on tuolla, or if you want to say that your grandpa is over there, you say that isoisäni on tuolla. But anyway, you just you have the in the structure he is there, you just take out the he, replace it with the name, and then the is there on tuolla. So if we think of the Finnish is a difficult language, the way that we say he is, or alternatively it is, in that you'd have to think of it like Finnish, it is a difficult language, but you replace the it is se on. The Finnish for it is se, se. Se on vaikeaa, se on vaikea kieli. It is a difficult language. Vaikea is difficult, and kieli is language. Both in the basic form, difficult, vaikea, kieli, language. So you'd have to essentially say Finnish, it is a difficult language, but you don't actually say the it, because the Finnish already, it doesn't need two subjects. It only needs one, and the Finnish, Finnish, it's the subject. But you just, like, if you're a beginner and you're still new to using the personalized endings for the verbs, maybe it helps when you think of I am, you are, it is, that, when you're thinking of the ways that you change the to be verb olen, olet, on, olemme, olette, ovat. So that, you have your subject, Finnish, then the verb, on, and then the word for difficult, vaikea, and the word for language, kieli. Suomi on vaikea kieli. Maybe you want to say that English is an easy language, to which some people would disagree, because the English language has so many irregularities. More than Finnish, but you still say that no, English is an easy language. You have the right to say it. So you'd say that englanti on helppo kieli. So that helppo is Finnish for easy. And again, the word for easy, helppo, the word for language, kieli, they're in their basic form. So all you need to know is that the word for English is englanti. So you say englanti on helppo kieli. Maybe you think that Spanish is easy. Espanja on helppo kieli. Maybe you think that Italian is easy. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. This is why I thought English is difficult. You have to know when not to speak English, and that's the most difficult thing of all. Anyway, Italia on helppo kieli. Maybe you think that Russia isn't easy, so you want to say that Russia is a difficult language. Russian is a difficult language. So you say Venäjä on vaikea kieli. Maybe you want to say that Chinese is difficult. Kiina on vaikea kieli. What do you think of Swedish? Do you think Swedish is an easy or difficult language? Let's say that you think it's easy. If you know how to say, how does it go? It's something like, how did it go? Something like a hula hood burk. How does the Swedish chef speak? Chocolate mousse. A hula hood chocolate mousse. Anyway, that's sort of how Swedish sounds, right? Right? Something like that. So yeah, even though I struggle, I just struggle because I'm only so good as a student. But anyway, let's say that Swedish is an easy language. So ruotsi on helppo kieli. Let's say that you think that Arabic is difficult. Arabia on vaikea kieli. So that now that you have if you have the verb, you already have a lot, If you know how to use verbs, because as I said, like with nouns, we can just point to things. Like there's a plant. With nouns, we can sort of, you can halfway get away with not knowing nouns if you just point to things. But with verbs, miming them, it's better knowing them. So if you have the verb, you already have a lot. And the way that the to be is conjugated in this, when we want to say that something, it is, we say se on. So anyway, we have the heart of the sentence in the to be. So certain languages, they are something. And what they are? Well, languages are languages. So that we have to know the word for language. And it's kieli. K-I-E-L-I. Kieli. Then, something is language. But if we want to describe it, we're describing it as something. So we have to have these adjectives. If you want to say that Italian is a beautiful language, you have to know the word for the Italian, the verb to be, the word for language, and then the adjective. And the Finnish for beautiful is kaunis, Kaunis, kaunis. So if you want to say that Italia on kaunis kieli, when you have these building blocks, you can start constructing. I don't know what. If you want to say that English is a language you're used to, you'd say englanti on tuttu kieli. So that the word for familiar is tuttu, tuttu, tuttu is Finnish for familiar. So English is a language you're familiar with. Englanti on tuttu kieli. If you want to say that something is a foreign language, you want to say that Russian is a foreign language, you say that Venäjä on vieras kieli. I don't know how would be described. If you want to say that Finnish is a surprising language, surprising is yllättävä. So suomi on yllättävä kieli. So it's just like the key to that sentence, obviously, how to construct different meanings, is the adjective. So I don't know that if I feel like spending the next 20 minutes listing new adjectives, perhaps that could be its own video. But anyway, we're just looking at basic sentences and how they're constructed. So if I asked you, how would you say that Finnish is a foreign language? There's the word for Finnish, the word for to be in the personalized form, the word for foreign, and the word for language. Could you do it? Finnish is a foreign language. Suomi on vieras kieli. How would you say that you think that Spanish is a beautiful language? The word for Spanish, the word for to be, the word for beautiful, the word for language. Espanja on kaunis kieli. So anyway, like if you'll watch this video again and you'll try to memorize the words I give you, you can construct some sentences on your own, but I just want to give you a sense of the sentence construction so that this is the basic sentences in Finnish. If I say that in the Finnish language there are many words suomen kielessä on paljon sanoja. So anyway, the first term suomen kielessä, Suomi is the basic form, but we're not using the basic form. When we say suomen kielessä, what we're basically saying is in the language of Finnish. So the direct translation of suomen kielessä would be in the language of Finnish. Now you might think that it's redundant to say in the language of Finnish because Finnish is already a language, but the formal Finnish has certain redundancies potentially there. And anyway, in this case you say suomen kielessä. So in the language of Finnish. So anyway, then there are many words. There are, but we just have the word on. Suomen kielessä on. Then the word for many is paljon. And the word for words is sanoja. So it's the plural. Sana is word, and words sana is word in singular, and in plural it's sanoja. No, wait. Whoa. Sorry. My bad. So anyway, no. Sana is singular and sanat, T for Tennessee at the end. Sanat is plural. What we already have, what we can't escape in this sentence is that sanoja, it's the postposition changing the word, so that instead of saying words, we're saying of relating to words, and it changes because again it's used as an objective. It's used as an object in the sentence. That's why we're changing the ending. Now you must find it frustrating as a beginner that the language will bring these complications for you, but they just have to be embraced. So anyway, the Finnish word for word is sana. Words in plural are sanat, and then of relating to words, it's like we Finnish just the position of the object in the sentence, it's liable to have us put a special form on the verb. On the word. This is a noun, not a verb. So on the word is what I meant to say. And we are just changing it away from its basic form, which in plural would be sanat, into sanoja, of relating to words. So it has the of relating to postposition ending and the plural ending. So sanoja. Suomen kielessä, in the language of Finnish, suomen kielessä, suomi, basic form of Finnish, kieli, basic form of language, but suomen kielessä. So the kielessä turns into in Finnish, and the suomen, it's the genitive. It's that something has something or something owns something. So it's as if there's the suomen kielessä, we are giving the language to like the term for languages, kieli stands for all languages, but the word for the languages is given over to the particular languages. So it's as if the two terms take each other, so that in the language of Finnish, you don't just say suomi kieli, because that would be like Finnish language, but you can't really use that in a sentence, Finnish language. You don't say suomi kieli. Immigrants like speaking like that. They like simplifying. Immigrants like just using the basic forms. So they would say suomi kieli, vaikea, Finnish language to be difficult. But it's just you have to jump in and have the proper experience, which is what I'm trying to teach here. So that suomen kielessä on paljon sanoja. In the language of Finnish, there are many words. So anyway, if we just look at the suomen kielessä, in the language of Finnish, it's as if the two words are having each other, because you don't say suomi kieli, Finnish language. You say in the language of. So instead of saying Finnish language, you say in the language of Finnish. And in English, look at the prepositions. There's the in and there's the of. So the of Finnish, it's the genitive in English. The genitive. Something is somebody's. It's the something of somebody. The word for Finnish owns the word for language in this case. That's why you have the kind of link. Suomen kielessä. And what is making this happen? What is making this happen is the genitive suomen. The genitive in English, you say that something is like, it says something of somebody. You use prepositions, but we use postpositions. So in the language of Finnish, the in the English language, the preposition in qualifies the word, but we don't have prepositions, so that in English you put your preposition and your word to serve the function, but in Finnish, since we don't have prepositions, we have to have postpositions, so that you don't say suomi kieli, Finnish language, you say suomen kieli, because it's the language of Finnish. So the genitive of Finnish, you drop the genitive. You don't say of Finnish, not as just Finnish. Yes, of Finnish, not just Finnish, but you have to fine tune the word. You can't just say suomi kieli, Finnish language. You say language of Finnish, so that the of Finnish turns into kielessä. So Finnish kieli, but kielessä. Sorry. So like there's two postpositions, so I just got mixed up in what I was translating. So the genitive of Finnish is Suomi, Suomi, and then the of Finnish turns into Suomen. So the I at the end of Suomi is the expendable ending. If we start qualifying the word Suomi, we might say Suomi, Suomea, Suomen, Suomessa, Suomesta, Suomella, Suomelta, Suomeen, and so on. Those are the postpositions. In English, you use prepositions. So that, here's the word for Finnish. I'm just trying to give a visual aid. So here's the word for Finnish. In English, you put a preposition of Finnish, but in the Finnish language, you put a postposition. So that of Finnish, Finnish, Suomi, Suomen, here's of Finnish, Finnish, Suomi, Suomen, of Finnish, Finnish, Suomi, Suomen. So if you see how the language works, then since there's two prepositions in preposition 1, the language of preposition 2, Finnish. In the language of Finnish, two prepositions and they translate to two postpositions. Suomi, Suomen, kieli, kielessä. In the language of Finnish, suomen kielessä. So anyway, that is a sample of how postpositions alter words. So anyway, instead of you saying in Finnish language, suomi kieli, you in English put the prepositions. Instead of saying Finnish language, you say in the language of Finnish. And in Finnish, you say, instead of saying suomi kieli, you say suomen kielessä, because you just need the part. You have the word and you have the qualifying part. So, of Finnish, Finnish, Suomi, Suomen, you need those two elements, the word and the qualifying, either in English of Finnish or Suomen. So anyway, how does you think in Finnish of those things is Suomen and then kielessä. So Suomi, kieli, Suomen, kielessä. And those two words, it's like they're giving to each other, suomen kielessä. Now that's the very new part of the sentence, which you just have to sort of wrestle with those things. So suomen kielessä, in the language of Finnish, then the easy part, the verb. So you just have on. Suomen kielessä on. In the language of Finnish, there are. In English you say there are, but in Finnish we more simply just say it is. We use that term. So just like I said, just like we don't really have the to have. We say that minulla on, I have. well, like minulla on, and then instead of saying there are again, we just use the word on. Suomen kielessä on, and then paljon many sanoja. If you remember what I said of French drinking wine, French are drinking of the wine. So again, this is something that English language speakers don't understand. Why it is that the Finnish need to change the word for words in this case. So in English you say in the language of I'll just keep using the structure in the language of Finnish so that it will be a bridge between the two languages. In the language of Finnish, there are many words. English speakers, they just they put the words in plural and then that's it. They don't feel the need to qualify it any further. And English speakers don't understand it, why Finnish qualified further, but we just do, We don't have prepositions, we have postpositions, and using postpositions comes very natural for us. So, to us it isn't any problem. We aren't tripping over that, over much. So, it's just if you remember what I said about French drinking wine, again, Finnish just have that kind of relating to words type structure there. So instead of saying sanat, words, you say sanoja. Of all the words, here is some of them. So, that's how that sentence breaks down. Suomen kielessä, or if I use this, suomen kielessä on paljon sanoja. Sanoja is of all the words, some made into the group that we're talking. Well, you must find that at times like this, you must find that Finnish is a difficult language. Suomi on vaikea kieli. Maybe it is, but with enough studying, we can make it less challenging, I promise. So again, studying a language is most difficult. The less you've learned, the more you still have to learn, and the more difficult the learning experience is. But as time goes by, with time and energy comes from the Greek word meaning something that is containing work. So, with time and energy, energy being activity containing work. So, don't study in a sluggish manner, lest you study in an unenergetic manner. We can make the experience easier. But anyway, I think I sort of I just tried to keep introducing ways of approaching the Finnish sentence for you. But anyway, again, if some things were left a bit unclear for you, rewatch the video, and I'll keep making more videos about basic Finnish sentences. And I hope I'll see you there, and I hope that things become easier for you as time goes by. But anyway, bye for now, and I hope I'll see you at the other videos as well. But